Thank you very much. So welcome to my session. We will talk about how Microsoft Teams for the education sector can help us to have fun and homeschooling and so on. I don't know what you did make some experiences during spring this year, but I heard a lot of people who said, okay, my kids are at home. Now we are doing some kind of a mix of homeschooling and home office. So we are sitting at the same table. And so, I had a lot of chats with teachers who told me, it's completely different now to do my lessons. I need to change something. So today I want to tell you what we can do, how Microsoft Teams can help us, and yeah, I think we will see a few features. Maybe if you are using Teams in your usual business life, then you may see that Microsoft Teams for Education is a little bit different. It has most of the functions we have in the commercial sector, but even some additional features. Okay, then let's start. A few words to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Enders. I'm working as a team lead for Cloud Workplace. We are located in Hennef, so that's near to Cologne. And if I look out of my window, then I see it's cloudy outside. Maybe we'll get a little bit better weather today. Yeah, and my focus is all about social collaboration, the modern workplace, how we can use these tools which are out there and build better workplaces right there. As you can see, I've written a lot of books. So my newest book about Microsoft Teams has been published 2 weeks ago, and that's also for the education sector, but also for the commercial sector. So you will find everything. We start with chatting, then we have the team rooms. We are looking for governance and so on. And at the end, there's the education part where we find the special features. So let's start with the situation. As I told you in the introduction a little bit, there were a lot of challenges in the spring, and we don't know how it will proceed in fall and winter this year. So maybe that can be interesting for you if you are looking for your kids, or if you're looking from a teacher's perspective. And I have 2 slides. One is focusing on the challenges of the parents and the children. And the second one is focusing on the challenges of the teachers. So what are the challenges? One of the most important challenges was switching to digital learning, because in the past, the children were going to school, they were sitting in the same room as the teacher, and the teacher could have a walk around, see if every student makes progress and understands what he is explaining. And now every kid was sitting at home, and the teacher didn't know what's going on, so he couldn't explain it for every single student in the same way as he would when they were in the same room. The concepts were missing. There were no guidelines and best practices, so the children didn't know what was going on, and their parents couldn't really help because they didn't know what they need to do to support the children in the best way. And there was not enough contact between the teachers and students, but also between the students itself. So some students told told me that they didn't have contact with some teachers for several weeks. They only got an email with some tasks. They were working on these tasks, but in the case that they were facing a problem and they couldn't complete the task, that was hard for them. And maybe in some families there aren't enough devices, so the parents need their devices to do their home office. And maybe for the kids there wasn't a PC or a tablet. Before COVID-19, I thought that we have a lot of smartphones out there and that the teachers have problems that the kids are using the smartphones during the lessons. But in the past months, I recognized, okay, there is not enough hardware out there for every kid. Yeah, and even if you have a device, then privacy could be a problem. So think about everybody sitting at the same table in the kitchen. The father is in an online meeting. Maybe the mother is doing a phone call, and then the kid is sitting there and has his online lesson. So do you see somebody in the background? Do you hear the phone call uh, in the class when the student wants to answer and so on? So that were challenges. And if we are looking on some questions, so that's more from the parent's perspective, I know, but it's also a question. What do I need to do to enable my child to attend these online lessons? Do they need special devices? Do I need an account? What's about the internet connectivity and so on? And how can I support my child in this new situation? What are my tasks now instead of the teachers? Because now my kid is sitting at home and maybe I have to do something instead of the teachers because I don't have the option to do this. And because everybody was at home, how can I enable my child's social interaction with people outside of the family? So if you have 2 or 3 kids, then there is a social interaction even in the family with the kids of the same age. But if you only have one child, then you may think about what's going on. How can you help your kid right there? Yeah, now we are switching the perspective. So we are now in the perspective of a teacher, and the challenges were nearly the same. So there were no tools or an unused platform, for example, for online lessons. So what are the tools to do an online lesson? What are the tools to exchange documents or to assign tasks and to have an overview about the current state of the task and so on? Switching to digital learning was also for the teachers a challenge because not every subject and even not every teacher had a concept for digital learning, and the learning material was also in most of the cases not in a digital format. Yeah, and I think we could read this a lot of times now. The teachers even don't have enough devices to do the online lessons, so that's also a problem. And as the students said, okay, we don't have enough contact to our teachers, then it's clear that it's the same for the teacher. And I had a call with a teacher who told me, yes, I'm using Microsoft Teams already for my online lessons, but my students don't turn on their camera. They're muted, so I'm sitting here in my home office and I'm talking and talking, and I don't know if they if they are listening or if they understand what I'm talking about. So I don't know if I'm a good teacher in this digital format or not. Yeah, and that's also where we come to the questions. So how should I design my online lessons? What is a good ratio between the online lesson as a meeting and homework? Because now it's real homework because when the kids are sitting at home. How can I respond to individual students? So how does a teacher now see that a student has a problem and doesn't understand what he is explaining, even if everybody has turned off his camera? And how do I recognize what my students are doing during the online lessons? So maybe they only joined the meeting and then they're doing something else. Or maybe they are doing their homework for another subject or so. I don't know. And what do I do, especially with my silent students? So there are always silent students in a class. Maybe they are listening, but they don't participate actively in this online meeting. So maybe I need a chat or a call afterwards to check if everything is fine with them. So you see, remote learning and this homeschooling topic, that's completely different. And a hybrid mode, which is used by a lot of schools now, that's that you need to be familiar with both concepts, and then you need a right mix. So, and the last one I already explained, that is the problem when you don't have turned on your camera and you don't see in the faces if everything is fine or not. Yeah, and the last one, I don't know if a tool can solve such a problem when you are going to school and you are in the same room or in the same building. Then you may see if students are bullying one another. But in a digital world, maybe you don't see this. So you have to think about which chat options do you provide? How do you see how the students are interacting, and do you have a guideline which has to be has to be fulfilled by everybody? So, but I'm so excited to go on the live demo in a few minutes. So if you see Microsoft Teams, you may know that there are a lot of use cases out there. Today we are focusing on digital learning. So we see this schoolboy at the right corner here. But all the other use cases can be useful in a homeschooling scenario. So if we are thinking about events, about phone calls, working together and so on, so you may see a lot of functions which you are already familiar with, but we are looking from another perspective. So here we are in Microsoft Teams, and you see here in the live demo, we will see 3 different people. So the first one we see here is Anna. And Anna is a student, and we see a classroom. It's Microsoft Teams. If you don't know Microsoft Teams for Education, I have a few bubbles here to explain what's going on here. So we see, okay, a team is a classroom. And we can have different channels for each subject. So for English, for math, for biology, and so on. We have the search and command bar. I would say the command bar, if you don't use this, start with a slash. in the input field, and then you get a lot of commands you can use. And I like to use the go-to command because then you can switch between the different teams and the different channels very easily. And for teachers, that can be quite important because that's a very quick option to do this. And on the left side, you have the chat and the mentions. So here at the moment, I see Anna has one unread chat message, and that can be a chat message by one of her teachers. So the teachers can use these chat options to have a one-to-one conversation with their students. So and now we are changing the perspective. We are we see the screen of Tom. Tom is an older student and he doesn't have a team for a class because he don't have this. He doesn't have this class system anymore. He is joining courses, and one course is for each subject, and he has another layout. So in Teams for Education, you can use this layout with the huge tiles, or you can use the list view, and the list view we will see for the teacher in a few seconds. And here we see it again. Team can be for course or subject. It's up to you. If you have this bold format, then we see, okay, in this team, there's a minimum one unread post. And if you have this bubble in the tile, then we know that we have new mentions right there. You have also the search and command bar and chat and mentions as well. So, and when we are going to the teacher's view, then you see that we have the usual list view. We can pin some channels right here, as I've done this here for these three ones. And then I have here the team rooms. And it's up to you if you're going with one team for a class and then you're using the channels for these subjects, or if you say, okay, no, I want a separate team for every subject in my class. Here, that's always same, and even the teacher can decide that he prefers this tile view. So I will show you in the live demo how you can change this. Okay, if you start with Microsoft Teams for Education and you are looking for a class or a course, then we can do the standard Teams meetings to do online lessons. So we have a Teams meeting, maybe we plan it in the calendar, so that's a good option when it's an occurring event. So every week on Monday morning we have the English lessons, and during the meeting we can use screen sharing, we can go with PowerPoint, or we can use the whiteboard app. And I know that at Ignite there were a lot of announcements regarding meetings, so I'm very excited in a few weeks when we can go with breakout rooms to split up the students to do group work and then come back together the results, or if you have the option to do a presentation and to use a custom layout to set the presenter there that he's visible every time. That's possible, and also you could say, okay, we have a team chat, some students have a problem, and then we start an ad hoc meeting to talk about this. So that's also an option. It's different if you compare it with the scenario when you are doing lessons in school that you have a separate time and then the teacher isn't available. So here you can use other concepts. For example, if a student has problems doing his homework and the teacher is available, then they can have a call or a chat and talk about this. And you have also central document storage. I know that if you're looking for team room, then that's not so special for you, but I will show you that there's one special feature right there. Yeah, and then we have also the option to have a conversation between individual students, teachers, or the parents of the students. So that can be with the standard chat, audio or video call function, and you could also schedule a meeting. And I know that there are a lot of other meetings. So if you're thinking about grading conferences or student council meetings or so on, then you could go with the Teams meetings too. And for larger meetings, if you are thinking about some events where all students and their parents of a special age would go to school and get some information by a few teachers, then you now could do this with a Microsoft Teams live event, because then you can invite everybody and you would have a Q&A session there too. So, and I have two killer features in Microsoft Teams for Education. The first one is the class notebook. There's a special OneNote file. If you're familiar with OneNote, or if we are looking from a teacher's perspective and you already have some digital learning material in OneNote, then you could use this here. And the OneNote file is divided in different parts. So at first we have the collaboration space, and that's a section where students and teachers can add new content, they can edit the existing content, and so on, so they can collaborate there. Then we have a second section, that's the content library, and students can only see what's in there, and the teacher is the only one who can edit this content or add new content. And last but not least, we have the student notebooks. That's a section for each student, and each student only sees his section. And the teacher sees all student notebooks. And a good way is, if you are a teacher and you prepare something, you add it to the content library, and then later on you can share this so that every student gets his own copy and can add some notes. He can do homework there and so on. And you can see what the students are doing. So if they have some problems, then you can help them, and you see how every student is making progress. So that's so much easier for you. It's like you were going or walking through the room, and then you were watching what every student is writing in his real notebook. The other feature I want to mention here is assigning and managing tasks. So you can prepare tasks, you can schedule them, so you can unlock them for a special period of time. So, for example, if you're thinking about an online lesson as a Teams meeting, you could prepare everything and you could schedule that the task is assigned to your students in this moment when your online lessons ends. And then you say, okay, they have time until this week Friday, and they can finish their work right there. You can decide if you want to assign the task to all students or to a single group. And that's a good option if you have some students which are learning very quick. Then you can assign them additional tasks so that they have fun and that they don't have to wait until the other students are ready. And as teacher, you need to check the current state of the task and to give feedback and to return the results to your students. So, and that's the time where I go in the system itself. And if we are looking here, now I'm the teacher. I have here my team, and I show you two other things first, because I said that I show you how to change this layout. If you are going here to settings, this themes you may be familiar with, but there are these two layouts, and now I'm using the list layout. That's the only one we have in the commercial sector. And the grid view is this with the huge tiles. And the other topic I want to show is if we click here to join or create a team. I know that templates are coming here to Microsoft Teams in the commercial sector, but here in Microsoft Teams for education, we have this 4 different kind of teams. Other is the one that we know in the commercial sector, and the other ones are special here. So if you have a class, then you have this class notebook and the option to assign tasks and so on. And the other two are for the teachers to organize themselves. Maybe here all English teachers could collect their learning material and talk about how doing online lessons. And this is for organizing the teachers and the school itself. So here is my class 8. That's my example class here. And I assigned Anna and Tom. I know I told you that Tom is an older student, but for our showcase, Anna and student are joining the same class here. And you have here the usual team chat. You have the file storage, but I said there's one difference here, because we have created one folder. It's there automatically, and in this folder, only the teachers have edit permissions, and the students can only read the documents. So if you want to add some Word documents, PDFs, and so on, as a teacher, then you could add this in this folder. And the students, they can upload here in the library itself, but they don't have edit permissions right here. Yeah, and then we have the class notebook. As I said, that's a usual OneNote file, and we have this different sections here. But there's one section I missed during the in the slide. That's the teachers only section. So if we are thinking about, we have the content library and we add learning material there, maybe we need a place where we work on the learning material. So that can be the teacher only section. No student has read permissions there. And if you say, okay, I'm ready, then you can move the content to the content library. Then it's available for all the other students. And maybe there is a situation where you say, okay, and now I send a copy to the student notebook of Anna and Tom. So if I look here on the content library, go here, and in my last session, I added here a lesson 1. So maybe today it's lesson 2. And now you you could add everything you want. So it's your learning material you are creating here, and I say, okay, please explain I could write a lot of more, I know. Here, these are standard options, but what I would recommend to you is to think about the audio option. So maybe you can record a little audio sequence and explain your students in another way what you are expecting from them. And then when we are ready, and at this moment here, it's only available in a readable format for the others, for the students, so for Anna and Tom, but I want to copy it to their notebook. And here I have different sections. So what should I do? These are all standard OneNote options here, but there's one special option, that's the class notebook tile here. And I can distribute my page. So then I say, okay, I want to distribute the page to every student notebook, or maybe only to individual students. So that's the same right here. And I say distribute page. And now I have to decide in which section it should be added. And I say, okay, that's for class notes. I distribute it. And as you can see, okay, now it's done. I can close this one. And I stay for a few seconds here in the teacher's perspective. Now I have to look, okay, I added to class notes. I want to check if everything's fine. Yeah, here's my lesson 2. And now I'm switching to Anna's perspective. So we see here we are, Anna. Class 8. I go to the class notebook. And as you can see, we don't see the teachers only section and we don't see the student notebook of Tom. And now I go to class notes and here I have my lesson 2. And now I can, maybe I didn't add the topic here. So maybe I'd say, okay, what can be the topic, description of a car. Yes, I know I can meet here. And we have here a symbol. So if we see this, we know everything is synced. If you have a refresh symbol here, then the synchronization is going on. So now if I switch back to the perspective of the teacher, then we should see, okay, we are here and I see what Anna has added. And now I could add something and so on. So that's the option how we can work together. And the second feature I mentioned is the assignments. And I already added an assignment here that's doing homework. And as I can see, I have one student, that's Tom, who didn't return his results so far. And I have one returned by Anna. So maybe we switch to the perspective of Tom and return our homework because its due date is in the past, so maybe he has to do something. And we go here to class 8. We see here the assignment of the homework, but he has also the option to go here with the assignment menu item. So I show you this option too. And we see here, okay, he has one overdue task. And the homework, there's not so much explanations because the teacher didn't do this. So maybe here could be some instructions, but the teacher added reference materials. So maybe he took a picture of something or he added a Word document or something else. And what Tom has to do is follow the instructions or watching the reference material and then add his work. And that's the file upload dialog we will get here. And this means that maybe you create a PowerPoint or you're writing a Word document or something else, but you could also do your homework in a not digital format and then maybe take a picture and upload it right here, because this everything I show you here is in the browser. So you can use the Teams app, you can use the browser, the desktop app, everything is possible. And why I'm telling this, I had a lot of talks to teachers, but even to students who said, okay, I'm not sure if I can install something on my PC, because maybe if you are a student and you are using the PC of your parents, then you don't know if you could install something. And so everything can be done here in the browser too. So if I add my work, that can be whatever file, or maybe I don't add something. That's for the demo here now. And I say, okay, turn in. You always get such a gimmick right here. I think that's to support the fun stuff right here. And now we are going back to the teacher's perspective and we are refreshing here. So now I see two students turned in and turned in 2 days late. And here, if I would have added a file, then the teacher could see here what was added. So a Word document would be displayed here in the section, for example. And now I can enter feedback and I can return the work to Tom. Say, the file is missing, and return the one. I could also switch between my different students, or I could use the slider right here. So that's also an option. Okay, I think I showed you here these two options. Only I go back here. I want to show you how to assign such an assignment. That's the work that the teacher would do. So I add a title, I add my instructions, which were missing in this example task, and I can decide if I want to give some points. So in our example, there were no points, but if you want to go with points, so you can compare the students' homework, and you could do this too. With clicking here on this menu item, you can decide which students should get this task, and I go here on the edit. That's the scheduling part you can use. And if you're going with the points here, then grades gets a good option for you, because then you see, okay, which tasks were assigned to which students and how many points did you assign, because at some time you have to give this grades. I know that here in Germany, for example, the teachers don't or aren't so convinced that they will do the grades stuff here in Teams, but you can use the assignments to manage all the tasks and to get the results and to communicate with your students. Okay, that's it here in the demo, and I think that's it.